goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. And comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hi. Oh, did you hear that wheeze? Hi. Tell ya. Hello there. I'm the aging Lynn Cullen. I'm trying to, my goal in life, I just decided because I never have goals. My goal in life is to beat that woman. What was her name? Was she in Cleveland? There was an old lady who had a talk show or was on the radio in Cleveland for like 100 million years. I'm thinking her last name begins with an F. I don't know. I might not be right. But I remember reading a story where she signed a 6-year extension to her contract when she was like 97 or something. And she was still doing the show. My hero, maybe. I don't know. But there's a lot of old broads in front of microphones now. Usually not on television because we don't like wrinkled old ladies. But some of them make it into their dotage unseen on radio and podcasts. And I'm thinking, for instance, of Diane Rehm at NPR. And she has that voice, because she got some kind of vocal cord disease. And her voice doesn't really work, but she's, I admit, so good at what she does. So smart. And she doesn't do a flashy show. She just does NPR. She just does asking questions, straightforward conversations with that voice that you would think would put people off. But on the other hand, I have a voice that would put people off. So I don't know. I just realized that's my goal, to annoy Republicans until I take my last breath, I think. Anyway, good morning. It's a Monday, and oh boy, despite the fact that I barely slept last night, nor the night before, because the Pittsburgh Pirates, if you're not a baseball fan, forgive me for a minute, because I have to go nuts. The best baseball I've ever seen the last 2 nights. Unbelievable. A World Series couldn't be more exciting. It was unbelievable. Two great teams. It was like you never knew what the outcome was going to be. But we won both in extra innings against the best team in baseball. We took 3 out of 4 from them this weekend. We are now just 2.5 back, having been, I think we were 7.5 back just the other day. Unbelievable. Proud of them. And the bizarre stuff that was going on. I mean, our pitchers, both of our pitchers, saved the day. Not with their pitching. Yes, with their pitching, but at the plate. People who hadn't hit a ball in 7,000 years hit a ball. Liriano got 2 runs in. Liriano. A.J. Walker, who's 110. It's his last year in baseball. He is old. Unbelievable. Oh, Burnett. Did I say Walker? Sorry. I haven't gotten much sleep, because how do you fall asleep after that? You're so revved up. Gets a home run. Pitchers don't get home runs. In fact, he hadn't had one in 10 years. Oh, my God, such timing. 2 walk-off wins. Yes! Now, here's what's weird. It struck me. A whole bunch, 6 Cardinals and 4 of our Pirates are now on the same team in Tuesday's All-Star game. These guys who and they're going to be teammates now for the next few days. Ain't that gonna be weird? Oh, wow. Well, anyway, I just have to say, I'm sorry for those of you who don't get into the game, who say baseball is boring. Baseball is heart-stopping. Baseball is so anxiety-producing. It's thrilling. That's all I want to say, and I think I'm done. Wow. Oh, Lynn, thank you. The old lady in Cleveland or Cincinnati, one of those things. Dorothy Fuldheim, Fuldheim. Unbelievable old broad. I don't know if it was any good or what her shtick was or what kind of show she did, but man, she hung in there well into her 90s. I don't know that I can break that record since I'm not expecting to live that long, but cool. Okay, so what else? Did something else happen this weekend other than the Pirates? Because if something did, I am not aware of it. You know how I love obits. I don't have one for you today. Believe me, people died. And even some people that I vaguely recognized, but I just wasn't turned on by any of them. So there was, though, a send-off. That seems like the right thing to say about an obituary. No, not send off, send up. It's different. There was a send-up of obituaries that a guy named Bill Barrell wrote in the New York Times. And his whole bit was, if we really wrote obits, I'm dying to see an obit that said so-and-so and so-and-so died, he was a son of a bitch. Because everybody who dies is the most wonderful person on earth. Lit up a room. Wondrous, wondrous, loving this, great father, great husband, great this, that, and the other thing, successful as all hell, wondrous being, blah. And what's interesting is, so we know that can't be true because we know people, right? But I guess that gets into do not speak ill of the dead, and then you look at the bright side. But so this guy decided if we really wrote obits that said what people really feel or what they really said. And these are just little, I love them. I'll give you one. David Meldrick, 68, of Rahway, New Jersey, died peacefully at home, surrounded by his beloved family on May 2nd. Mr. Meldrick was perhaps best known for never picking up a check. You want another? Hallie St. Clair, 68, died at home on April 30th, a resident of the Bull's Head neighborhood on Staten Island. Mrs. St. Clair, who was survived by her son Chip of Queens, was perhaps best known for an almost superhuman ability to say the wrong thing at the wrong time. Lawrence Fitzhugh, 78, of Parsippany, died, Laureen, Fitzhugh, died at her home May 3rd. A community activist and dedicated volunteer in her church, Ms. Fitzhugh was perhaps best known for saying, "I don't need an entree, I'll just have a taste of yours." She had no survivors. All right. A few times I've come upon obits that people wrote themselves before they died. They wanted this to be their obit, and some of them have been delightful. And it's an idea, right? Denise Pantuzzo, 84, died at home in Bethpage, New York, after a short illness. A devoted wife and mother, Mrs. Pantuzzo was perhaps best known for always missing the point. So it leads, all these are, so what were you best known for, right? I think if we all lived our lives constantly thinking about what a real obituary of us would say, we might be better people. You think? Elliot Gowan, the longtime drama critic for the Star Ledger of Newark, died at St. Mary's Hospital April 26. Mr. Gowan was perhaps best known for borrowing a hedge trimmer from his neighbor, the stage lyricist Alan J. Lerner, and then not only never returning it, but also denying that he'd borrowed it in the first place. Okay. All right. Pittsburgh girl writes, I was talking about, she's responding to something I was talking about the other day, about how, I don't know what it is with the Spanish, but they love torturing animals. And it seems like, and in religious context too, because like every other minute it seems there's a picture in the New York Times of a bunch of Spanish men in some way going nuts and torturing animals. And Pittsburgh girl says this, I understand your dislike for the running of the bulls, but I love this one. This past weekend in New Orleans, instead of live bulls, they have roller derby girls dressed as bulls with bats. It also raises a lot of money for local animal charities. Oh, that's the greatest. Okay, so in the New Orleans running of the bulls, any guys who want to show their bravery have to handle being chased down the streets of New Orleans by the ferocious members of the Big Easy roller girls, along with their meanest counterparts from all over the country. They attack runners with foam-filled plastic bats and attempt to gore those who can't run them with plastic horns attached to the house. There may or may not be alcohol involved. Some participants even consider getting beat with the bats or gored by a roller bull as a badge of honor. First one took place in the French Quarter in 2007 with just 200 participants and 14 roller bulls, and now some 14,000 runners and 400 roller bulls ran through the streets. Well, how come I haven't seen that? That is adorable. Thanks for telling us that. That's wonderful. Why don't I see a picture of that instead of these damn macho Spanish men torturing bulls and chickens and dogs and anything they can get their hands on? Melanie has sent me an obit that was featured in the Huffington Post. It consisted of just 2 words. This was in a North Dakota newspaper, the Forum of Fargo-Moorhead. It could well be the shortest obituary ever published. There's a picture of a very nice-looking guy smiling, and it says under his picture, Douglas Legler. And then it says, Doug died. I love it. I love it. I mean, there it is. His daughter said her father had long insisted he wanted a short and sweet obituary. He said over and over, when I die, I want my obit to just say Doug died. Let other people's obits say he was the president of this, the director of that. And Dad would always say to that, what? They couldn't hold down a job? He was 85, had a great sense of humor. Yeah, that's good. God bless people with senses of humor. God bless them. And people who don't take themselves too seriously. God bless them too. And God bless all of you for these wonderful additions to my little bit offbeat subjects here. I'm avoiding the subject, which really startled me and a whole bunch of other people over the weekend. And I'm sorry. I got distracted by what Celine's reading. Sorry. That's okay. I read that too. What was that about? It was a kid that was sick. Yeah, okay. Okay. So, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. It has to do with To Kill a Mockingbird. You've heard this by now, right? So, Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird, and all of a sudden this big to-do last year when a manuscript of a novel she had written before To Kill a Mockingbird, Go Set a Watchman, was found. And it had the same characters, only they were a lot older. So Scout, the little girl, was like now, 36 years old, and was a writer in New York City, and it would be in the 50s because To Kill a Mockingbird is in the Depression. And people first started saying she didn't want it published, this and that. She has clearly said, I want it published. She has been seen publicly saying that, even though she's a very non-public woman. But what is freaking everybody out is in the look of Scout and Jeb and Atticus, her wonderful saint of a father, not to mention gorgeous, because of course he was Gregory Peck, is really a racist. Atticus, old Atticus Finch, is a crotchety, miserable old fart who thinks the Negroes are getting a little out of place. And he is pretty much a segregationist. Well, this just destroys everybody's sense. I mean, he's a hero. Do you know how many baby boomers were named Atticus because of him? Close to 7,000 men are walking around with the name Atticus because of Atticus Finch and To Kill a Mockingbird. One guy who heard about all this, so disheartened, said, I can't possibly read the other book. I cannot read it. I can't have that taken from me. He said, it's like finding out Santa Claus beats his reindeer. So the way this happened and worked is she had written this one first. Harper Lee, when she wrote Go Set a Watchman, based very much on her own family. And Atticus Finch was based on her father. And she was a young Southern girl trying to live life as a writer in New York City. She'd escaped Monroeville, where she lived, not ours, but Alabama. And she'd gone to New York. And from that vantage point, watching what the South looked like, I mean, she was appalled. She was appalled. And she would occasionally go home, visit her aging father, whose name was A.C. Lee. He was somebody who was very prominent in that little town. He was a lawyer, very well thought of, considered very moderate. A moderate man. And definitely, as I said, the model for the wonderful Atticus. And she has told, she hasn't said much in her life, but she said when she went back home to Monroeville, which, by the way, she ended up coming back and living most of her life back in this little southern town where she didn't quite fit in. It's all very odd. When she would go back, when she was young and living in New York, she would say, because of how she felt about the civil rights struggle, she would say, quote, I don't trust myself to keep my mouth shut, so if I feel moved to express myself thereon, it will get all over Monroeville that I'm a member of the NAACP, which, God forbid, they already suspect me of anyway. But so she said her dad, when she went home, he was considered a moderate in Monroeville, but he still was a segregationist. He still supported states' rights. He still thought the black man was sort of in his childhood, had not evolved as much. But he was... Did you hear that? Where would that have come from? Did you hear that? Like somebody popping their...
Here it is.
What was that?
It's the computer asking me if I want to update it.
Oh, I thought it was the computer popping its cheek. No. So, I mean, I mentioned this to my brother last night in a phone call. And he said, well, you know, Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird doesn't seem quite human. He seems too good to be true. And he said in the South, and in fact in the North, and in fact in our homes, he said, my brother said, he thinks most of us harbor racist feelings because it seems to be a condition that afflicts the vast majority of people. Some of us fight those feelings on a constant basis. We're always coming, and others don't. A man like Atticus Finch, who, if you look back at To Kill a Mockingbird, might have had these same feelings, but he also was an honorable man. Huh? Yeah. So the complexity of humanity. You could have somebody who is a racist who doesn't get integration because of the environment in which he lived his entire life, but he is an honorable man. And my brother had essentially said what some literary critics are now saying about this. They said that if To Kill a Mockingbird sugarcoats racial divisions by depicting a white man as the model for justice in an unjust world, then Go Set a Watchman may be like bitter medicine that more accurately reflects the reality of the times. So if Atticus Finch is not quite the plaster saint that he is in To Kill a Mockingbird, there could be something actually rich and fascinating about that. So, she revered her dad. She just revered him. And so when she took this first book, written about Scout when she was the older woman, the writer coming back to Monroeville with her father muttering, arthritic, miserable, in pain, talking about those black people trying to get a baby. She was appalled. She did not recognize this guy who had taught her other things. And when she took this book to the editor, the publisher said, I think it'd be more interesting if you set this book in this woman, what was her name? Jean Louise, Scout's real name, I'm not sure. If you set the book in her childhood and saw her childhood, her father, this town, from her 6 or 7-year-old eyes, and hence To Kill a Mockingbird was born. So that Atticus Finch was based on her dad. And the Atticus Finch in the book she'd actually written before was based on her dad. So, like the obituary stuff, where these unreal pictures of perfect souls, now gone, are there. This, the two together, might in fact give us it's not what we want to hear, that people are more complicated than we want them to be. We like our plaster saints. And here in a review in the New York Times of Ghost Set of Watchmen, which comes out tomorrow, by the way. Watchmen reads as if it were fueled by the alienation a native daughter, because it's very much based on her life, might feel upon returning home. It seems to want to document the worst in the South in terms of racial and class prejudice, the people's enmity and hypocrisy and small-mindedness. At times, it almost alarmingly suggests that the civil rights movement roiled things up, making people who used to trust each other now watch each other like hawks. We have a call. Hi, caller.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hey, real quick, did you happen to, I don't even know if you talked about this on your show, the story about the, you know how you adopt the highway, or adopt this?
Yes.
Did you you know that story?
I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Is
the
there
one
a
with
reason?
The KKK?
Okay, because this has been a story that's happened in many places, actually. What's this one? They want to adopt a highway in some state.
Yeah, they denied their application.
They did?
And the
ACLU
is representing them.
Yeah.
And it's a black lady that's representing. Now, can you believe that? I mean,
yes.
That's unbelievable.
Okay, I do believe it. As you know, I'm a member and in fact, a board member of the ACLU.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is why the ACLU makes you very uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Very uncomfortable. The ACLU is to the First Amendment what the NRA is to the Second Amendment. They are absolutists. So if the KKK wants to and is able to take part of a highway and keep it nice and neat, they have. You can't punish them for their thoughts and expression.
Right.
Okay, so this is why a lot of people say, I hate the ACLU, I can't believe that's the ACLU. I know, it makes me crazy. And when I was asked to be on the board, I said, I don't know. I mean, you go to bat for the KKK walking through Skokie, Illinois, the most Jewish neighborhood in Illinois. You went to bat for the KKK. I think they went to bat for the KKK here when they wanted to meet on have some kind of a rally on City Hall steps. But it's because they're absolutists. They say, okay, now it's the KKK that is not being given their First Amendment rights of expression. What's it going to be next time? Is it going to be the NAACP? Is it going to be, you or this? So that you have to go to bat for the most noxious, poisonous speech if you're going to... What the ACLU will tell you, it is easy to be for free speech when you agree with what's being spoken.
Well, yes.
Isn't that true?
Yeah,
I'm all for the First Amendment. Yeah.
Hey, and another thing, you talk about those obits. I will never have my name in the paper. There will be no obit. There will be no funeral service. There will be no preacher, pastor, whatever. And if they want to cremate me, that's what I want. And you want to throw them in the garbage, I don't give a shit. That's one way I can give society the big finger. Like, I don't fit in your neat little package that you have to have everybody in. Everybody's got to be in the paper. Everybody's got to have a funeral. Well, screw you. That's how I feel.
Well, here, having feel that way, why don't you have an obit?
Wait. I don't want everybody reading about me.
No, they won't have to. Here's what
me calling your show is kind of one of my... I shouldn't even do that.
Oh, okay. But here, I don't know who you are, so you're anonymous and squawk. So here's what you do. You have an obit. It says your name, and then it says, screw you.
Well.
Because you could do that.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, think about it. And then Lynn Cullen will go nuts and make a big to-do about it on the air, but we won't know who we won't know.
There you go.
There you go. Screw you.
I do know.
And then have
finger on their stone.
Have a headstone. Have a headstone with a finger on it.
There you go.
There you go. Get a little more creative, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Who's whose headstone said, "I told you I was sick"? I can't remember. I told you I was sick. Excuse me. Okay, we got some emails here. Josh writes, "Hey, Lynn, I work the door at a local rock and roll bar, 31st Street Pub. They are proud to say it's not a sports bar. Anyway, during extra innings, the musicians on stage were asking the crowd for game updates." Yeah, the audience was more into the TV baseball game than the band on stage. Yeah. Even at the 31st Street Pub. Ha ha. No, it was something. It was something. God, what a great weekend for Pittsburgh baseball. Roger writes, speaking of obituaries canonizing the recently deceased, do you get holiday family newsletters? You know what? I used to. They seem to have fallen on hard times, or at least the people who used to do it don't do it any. My people don't do it. I used to get hysterical ones. I think last week I was talking about my friend in high school who was so creative, did all this outrageous stuff, Pat Parrish. She did send them for years when she was married and raising her boys. And they were, I mean, you could have sent one off to Saturday Night Live and they would have said, hire this woman, get this woman. They were ingenious. But then I think life overtook her, too. And it was pretty hard to be funny about all the stuff that was going on. And she stopped. But I did get some before from other people, and it is like, I understand why people do it. You know, we're scattered. It's a way to keep people in touch with who you are and where you are and what's been happening. But too many of them, they're like obituaries, which is why you probably conflated the two, right? Because some of it seems almost like, hey, look at us. Look at little, and then every child's triumphs are laid out. So-and-so did, you know what? And I don't give a shit. And blah, 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 blah. And then we went to blah. And I'm sure, at some point you think, all right, so big friggin' deal. Shut up. I'm just saying. And I think a lot of people, if you can't write a good one, there's people who write good ones that are entertaining as hell, that are funny and I don't want somebody to send me a 3-page single-space thing. And Mary Jo got her so-and-so badge and this and that, and we had a... I would sometimes read some of these things. I don't even care about my own family's life in this detail. Leave me alone. I am crotchety. That is true. Okay, let's get back to Roger's letter instead of having me go off on a rant. Do you get holiday family newsletters? They're always upbeat. Okay, here you go. They're always upbeat and grossly positive, and it makes one wonder if anything bad ever happens in their lives, like, we have a call? Good. Hello? Hello?
What happened to the newsletter? Facebook. No need.
That's it. But some people still do it. But yeah, I think you're right. There's so many ways to keep in touch throughout the year on a immediate basis.
Almost daily basis.
That's right.
You know what's going on in everybody's life almost immediately.
That's right.
No matter what it is.
That's right. I'm not into that. I can't imagine. Why do you even want to look at what somebody had for dinner and why they went here and, who cares?
I'm such a fast scroller through that stuff. Yeah, like I said before, it's almost my Lynn Cullen show. I sit there and argue with people most of the time.
Okay.
But, the scientific stuff. But my main reason for getting on there is my sister was out of town and she was going places and taking photos, and I had her email them to me, and she said, "Won't you get on Facebook like everybody else?"
And there you did.
And
So,
I found a lot of, like, if you like certain pages, like The Atlantic, I found this thing called Project Syndicate. And if you like their pages, they kind of just post like interesting articles and things that they've written, and that's how I find half my stuff.
Oh, cool.
but I zoom through a lot of the nonsense,
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. That's what's happened to these letters. Although I think older people must still be sending them, right?
I don't know. I've never.
You never had one?
I've never had anybody send me these kinds of letters. I'm from the projects. The project people don't do that kind of stuff.
What you just don't?
You end up, you're on the corner like, "Yo, man, what's up?" "Oh, man, what happened to me today, man? Check
That's
this
right.
out."
That's right. Or you open the window and scream over to somebody. Hey! Wait, right.
That's it. Yeah, there's the gossip. "Oh, did you hear? Oh my God,
Yeah.
So-and-so did."
Yeah. Right.
Just come to think of it, I think that's exactly what Facebook is.
It's just, yeah. Well, no, it is.
It's the corner. It's
It's over the fence.
Yeah.
That's right. I used to say that about AM talk radio when I started. I realized that what this was it's a way it is. It's the town square. It's over the fence. It's people connecting and talking and exchanging information, and that's what it was before it got so totally political, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was wonderful.
And that's that's like I said, I love. I guess I could say love arguing with people on Facebook.
I know you must. My sister does too. She goes after everybody on there.
Yeah, I don't let stuff go. If somebody puts up something stupid, I counter.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. There. You need to be people like you. I, on the other hand, avoid contention as soon as I leave this room. I go out of my way not to get into anything with anybody. Which I let people roll all over me. I will accept any slight, because I don't wanna.
Believe me, I understand it.
Yeah,
it would be like me saying, "Hey, going like, hey, can you draw me a picture? Can you draw my picture?"
Yes,
everywhere
right.
I go.
That's right. That's right. It's like, it's exactly Busman's holiday. I don't want people at parties. They come up to me and say, "So, what are you talking? I mean, are you talking about Donald Trump? Are you saying?" I said, "Oh, please, no."
Actually, I'd be an ass about it. If you want to know, listen to the show.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
If you don't like what I'm talking about, start your own show. It's easy. Just get yourself a little vlog and.
Anybody can do it now. That is true. That is so true. Well, thank you as usual,
Oh, you're
Clarence.
welcome.
Bye.
As usual. Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
Yeah. Bye. Okay, back to Roger's email. It says. Okay, about these newsletters. They're always upbeat and grossly positive and makes them fun of anything bad happens in their lives. Like, how refreshing would it be to receive one like, "We're looking forward to having Francie home for the holidays. She should be out of rehab by then. We're wondering how she's going to live with a child on the way, like her other 2 children. She doesn't even know who the father is. I guess we can kiss off high school graduation this spring." Wouldn't you love? But that's almost like the kind that my friend used to say. I mean, just what? God bless. That, yes. Anyway, Roger goes on. My Aunt Sandra sends a newsletter that's at least 2 pages long to my entire family, where we extend well beyond 100 people. Yeah, we're breeders. Get this. She writes in the third person. Sandra did this and Sandra did that. And Sandra always does a great job. By the way, Roger says, I'm not worried she'll see or hear this, as she lives in Virginia, that doesn't matter, and is not of our ilk. She watches Fox. See, this is not gonna, somebody could send it to her. All right, Roger. I don't think you shall be on the outs. I mean, you don't mind if you're on the outs with Aunt, what's her name? Okay. So I love this Pope. I read more and more over the weekend about people going nuts about what he has said and how he's really actually a commie, obviously. And I got news for people. He's not a commie. He's a humanist. He's somebody who wants life to be better for the people who are being screwed by this global capitalist model we've got going. And I saw someone who is a very rich man, venture capitalist, who agrees with what the Pope says, and who's been warning his other venture capitalist friends and all these rich, hey, buddies, this ain't working. And it ain't going to work for us, ultimately, either. So he says it's not that the Pope is anti-capitalism. He's anti the form of capitalism that this country, the United States, has embraced. You know, everybody says, I don't get it. The economy's improving, but we're not moving up. I don't get it. You know, my kid can't get a job. I don't get it. You get out of college in this country, you're saddled with $50,000 worth of debt, and the only jobs you can get are unpaid internships. Or I have to have 3 jobs cobbled together to barely make a subsistence wage. This is a good system. It's not the system I was confronted with when I left college. I mean, it's interesting how quickly we get used to the crap that has been done to what is considered a reasonable contract between those who own businesses and those who do the labor. It's fascinating because in my lifetime, there was such an understanding. And there's none now. We all understand what the guys at the top and the owners think. We're going to exploit you as much as we possibly can, then we're going to throw you out. That's the business model. And if you think it isn't, then where have you been living? That didn't used to be it. But of course, then there were unions but there was unions and there was a different ethic for a while there, for one brief shining moment. Okay, I admittedly, I mentioned Donald Trump, I know. Next to the Pope, he's my favorite person right now. He's doing so much damage. I love him. Man. But what's interesting and what you see, I mean, it's a sort of ability to see it very clearly, what the Republican Party has wrought. That so many people love what Donald Trump is saying. And they've learned to love what Donald Trump is saying because of what? Fox News, Limbaugh, and all the other right-wingers. It's a whole different view of the world, which they've swallowed whole. And it is a view that is peddled throughout history. I mean, this is what Timothy Egan wrote a piece over the weekend that says this has always been part of the American political fabric. We know this, right? He points out that in Philadelphia, I'm not going to give you a year, the New York Herald reported about some kind of a political rally in which speakers were talking about scum unloaded on American wharves, and others said dirty, filthy, foreign utterly ignorant of a place such as school. This was in the 1850s. They were speaking not of Mexicans, but of Irish. Right? You can go through American history and see the same dehumanization of whatever immigrant group is most represented among immigrants. The Irish got it. The Chinese got it. The Jews got it. The Mexicans got it and are getting it. And on and on. Xenophobes have always been part of our political fabric. And Egan writes that this version we're now seeing, with Trump being the main, well, he's not the main, there's tons of them in the party, Republican Party. But that this version, he says, is actually a much weaker strain than we used to see with the know-nothings and that crowd. And then he takes on what Trump says and what Fox says and everybody else about who these people are, the Mexicans, who are coming here. And how, I mean, some of us, well, here's what he says. Since 2006, here are facts, which is not what Republicans deal in. Here are facts, which is not what Donald Trump deals in. Since 2006, more Mexicans have left the United States than have come in. Huh? What? Uh-huh. That's the truth. Since 2009, there's been a 50% drop in those trying to sneak across our border. 50% drop. To listen to Donald Trump and the Republicans, you would think we are a nation under assault. But that's what they do. They traffic in fear and loathing. They traffic in fear and hate. It's just the people we're supposed to fear and hate change over time. The Republicans' winning Southern strategy that Richard Nixon used and Republicans after him used was fear and hate of the black man. Man, they were criminals. Man, they were welfare queens. Man, they were ripping off the system. Man, they were taking your money, driving Cadillacs and this and that. Always somebody. Then they gays where they're gotta fear taking down our entire institution, America. I mean, I'm just talking in the last 35 years. The boogeyman has to change his costume. And now it's the Mexicans. And all you have to do is see this undocumented Mexican, I think he is, who'd been deported how many times? 6 times. And kept coming back. And then he got hold of a gun and he killed a beautiful young woman in San Francisco. That's all it takes. That's all it takes for Donald Trump, for Fox News, for every other Republican to say, see? There it is. There they are. They come here to kill our women, rape our women. One. You want to know the truth about criminals? Here's some more facts. First-generation immigrants have a much, much lower crime rate than we native-born Americans. You want criminals? You want rapists? Don't look at immigrants. Look to our own. As to the rapists, whites account for 71% of all sexual assaults. This was just last year. Even though they represent only 63% of the population. So whites rape at greater a rate than their demographics would suggest should be the case. And this is the Bureau of Justice statistics. Latinos, they represent 17% of the population. You know what percentage of rapists? 9%. But that doesn't. What? Where did I get the New York Times? So we don't pay any attention to that. It's liberal media. Isn't that something? And joining the Clown Brigade later today will be the governor of my home state, a home state he has friggin' ruined, Scott Walker. Scott Walker throws his cheesehead into the ring. I'm looking at the time. I'm not going to get into this stuff here. It'll take too long. Just trying to pace myself. Did you know Patti LuPone? You know the name? Patti LuPone. She's an extraordinary actress, singer, musical theater, a true diva. She's won every gazillion award there is to win. Patti LuPone. I believe she was the original Evita, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And a whole bunch of other things. She's in something now on Broadway. And something happened the other day, and she'd had it. You hear these things. She's out there in character, doing her thing, as is everybody else on the stage. Like in the third row, some woman is on her cell phone. She's not talking, but she's texting. And she's doing this and that. And, there's a light there then. So from the stage, I don't know if you've ever been on a stage with the lights on you, you don't see the audience. You might see the first few rows a little bit. But beyond that, it's black. Not anymore. So actors in character might, look out and they see now that the audience is LuPone went nuts. Without breaking character, she left the stage, grabbed the woman's cell phone, and exited. The woman got her phone back afterwards. And LuPone said this: I don't know why these people buy tickets. Why do they come to the theater if they can't let go of their phone? It's controlling them. They cannot turn it off, and they can't stop looking at it. Ain't that the truth? They are truly inconsiderate, self-absorbed. They have no public manners whatsoever. I really don't know what to do anymore. I was hired as an actor, not a policeman. I am so defeated by this that I seriously question whether I want to work on stage anymore. Okay, so this is, to me, see, this is interesting. You think we've lost touch with proper behavior? You bet. We actors don't want to act in front of us anymore because we're so obnoxious. Comedians don't want to perform in certain venues because the audience ain't there or finds offense at everything they say. I mean, oh well, I just sound like an old lady. But if you think that the world ain't changing, and this cannot be good, there used to be a clear definition between private space and public space. And we all knew it. We all knew it. And when we were in a public space, we constrained our private behavior. We did not take the public space as ours. So it's more of this sort of atomization where everyone is their own little friggin' universe. Ain't that nice? Everyone is, in fact, the center of the universe, which they create. And that means that every communal activity, including live performance, is in danger. Is in danger because people don't know how to behave. Sad. I'm glad I'm almost dead. I mean it. It's just awful. Who are all these self-absorbed assholes? Jeez. Oh, but I bet their obits are going to say, oh, they were so wonderful. Such a wonderful woman. Oh, such a wonderful mother. Instead of saying she never, ever had her cell phone out of her hand, even at dinner, even during movies, even during plays, even during funerals, probably during her own. As a matter of fact, she'll be buried with her cell phone gripped in her rigor mortis fingers. Together forever. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.